even though you've been sitting here for like 30 minutes. Why don't you go introduce yourself and your character?
Hi, I'm Spectre. I'm playing Quietus Plumethorn. He is an Owlin noble. Warlock.
How about did you go asking for Darcy for this day? Because I don't think that we generally established it.
He would have gone to Darcy and told her that there is a cafe event going on at a spot he and Arton used to frequent when they wanted to get away from noble business. And they're having a seasonal drink, and he offered to share it with her.
Okay. So the day arrives for your planned date, and you see that Darcy is waiting for you, and she has on something a little bit more nicer than she usually does. It appears to be a sort of longer dress that has a deep black leather corset that's laced up with crimson ribbons. Her hair is normally down, but it looks like she's put it up into a high ponytail for this. And it also seems she has put batwing eyeliner on. What does Quietus look like?
He still looks like he has his normal attire, since it is like more noble attire anyway. Mm-hmm. But you'll see that his feathers have been like groomed well and like been sort of slicked back.
Do you have Notice with you?
I do.
Okay. Notice will peek out, and you see from the corner of your eye he has a little bow tie on.
It wouldn't do to offend someone like that.
Are you scared of her?
Absolutely terrified.
Can I insight that?
Yes. It's hard to say. He seems to be telling the truth. You don't really glean any additional information. He does hide back in your feathers, though.
After he disappears, I'll walk up to Darcy. I'll give a little bow and say, "You're looking beautiful today."
Well, thank you. Although technically you're not going on a date with me, are you?
That is fair.
And she will open up the portal, and as she steps out, she puts her blindfold on. You ready?
I am, and he'll hold out his arm.
You step through the portal, and she takes it, and she's like, "So, what are the guild goings-ons? What's the gossip?"
Well, from what I've been told, Percy's up to another scheme of sorts. Blue is still training Scuttle on how to be relatively, what's the term for it? Relatively decent, no longer be acting more like an animal. And I've heard we have a new guest.
Oh my goodness. Probably the one that Arzel drug in.
Is that allowed now, or are we just inviting anyone into the Iron Ballista?
Well, I just do what I'm told, but normally Mocadelia doesn't tolerate that kind of thing. I'm honestly shocked. Maybe she's changed a lot. I don't get to see her all that often.
Maybe the new blood is rubbing off on her.
Woe betide. Mocadelia could use some softening, but it's her edge that keeps us safe. If we were to lose that, I think we might be doomed.
True, but everyone deserves some time to themselves and time to unwind. Can't be sharp all the time.
You can when it's important. If she loses her edge, what was this all for, right?
Can't argue with that.
As you guys are walking through the branches, because you took her to Oberak, and Oberak is this massive city that spans these ancient thick trees. All of the buildings are built into this, and the trees are so wide that they can support about 3 of these buildings around their trunk without crowding them so much. The different levels of the city are connected by pulleys and bridges. But as you're walking, Quietus, go to a perception check. All seems well for you. But Darcy next to you says, it feels like there's something different here than the last time we were here.
Really?
Strange. People are quieter.
Is that anything to worry about?
Hard to say. But people generally don't get quiet unless there's something wrong. Oh well. Where's this cafe you were talking about?
It's in Midtown. It's sort of on the cusp of high society and the lower decks.
And you frequent that often, then?
Not as often as we would like. Prince Arton and I used to play hooky and go over there.
Quite the rebels, were you?
He was more so of a rebel. I just followed to make sure he was okay.
I don't know about that. I was the one who picked you up after all. Didn't seem like you were following all the rules.
Well, you got me. I do have a fun streak when I am not focusing on work.
That's right. Is that where you're going back to after all this is over?
Yep, back to the palace. I need to be by Prince Arton's side. I need to see his dream and our dream coming true.
And what dream is that?
A more flexible society? One that's not ruled on strength, but rather the ties between the people.
But don't you need to be strong to survive in this world?
You do, but strength isn't everything. Strength to the point of making your citizens cower in fear. Even if it is for their own safety, they deserve to have the chance to prove themselves with their own skills and talents.
And she kind of nods thoughtfully. I see. You and Machiavellia have a lot in common. And also, someone else I used to know.
If you don't mind me prying, who?
She kind of tilts her head, and then tilts it again. And she says, I don't remember. Strange. Maybe it's with other Darcy. Why did you want to go on a date with me and not her?
Well, I wanted to know more about you, and I feel like we've hung out more than your other half.
I wouldn't know. I would expect living in the guild you'd know her far better.
You both are not so different, I feel like. But I figure you have less time out.
2 reflections on the same blade, maybe. I'm out enough, but it's not always easy for me to be here. There is a reason for this, and she touches her eyes where the blindfold is.
What happened, if you don't mind me asking?
That is complicated, but the easiest way to explain it. Have you heard of an ascendant?
I have not. What does that entail?
When those who attract the attention of gods are blessed, they can potentially become an ascendant. If you perform a ceremony for multiple gods, potentially you can gain power that way. But if you don't make it, then you can die, or worse.
Is the favor more worth it than the risks that could happen?
I suppose it depends on what you value. You see at this moment there's a pause. And there's almost a shift in her personality. And she says, I shouldn't talk about it.
Although I am curious, I won't force it out of you, but do know I'm willing to lend an ear if you ever need it.
The price that I paid was that out here I can see the path of things, but it'll overwhelm me. So it's sealed away, and she touches the blindfold. But in Kyla's house, the sky takes it, and Darcy can be Darcy.
Does this have anything to do with why she's told she can't leave?
Without Kyla, the house collapses.
He'll be surprised at that and go into like a little bit of a thinking trance.
In there, you're protected from all sorts of things. It's almost like a prison if you think about it. There's more than us that's tied to that house.
It seems you all have a lot on your plate.
Well, that burden is shared by you all, isn't it? The Iron Ballista Guild. The pieces of Macadelia's chessboard.
It seems so.
Well, we're not infallible, you know. There are places even I can't see.
Well, your powers sounds like a great one, but isn't it good that you can't see all things?
Maybe if there wasn't a lot at stake, if our enemies didn't like to hide in the blind spot. There are places I can't see, but that doesn't mean that everyone is blind to them. We're playing a dangerous game where one wrong move can send the future hurtling towards terrible things. I'm sorry, you wanted a date, and here I am dropping disaster on you.
You're fine. I studied a lot in my time back at home, and just hearing anything about the outside world and I guess outside influences really piqued my interest.
If the outside and interesting things happen, I would suggest looking into the different planes of this world. What you would find would be very interesting. Although don't tell Macadelia or other Darcy I told you.
Would they be opposed to it?
They'd be mad. But I don't really care. I may have all the power, but Darcy has all the heart. What happens doesn't really matter to me either way. I just do as I'm told.
But isn't there a future that you would like to see? For you personally, rather than the world or anything else that's at stake?
To fix the world, I would be gone. So, suppose in a way, I'm working against my own best interests. But I don't care. I think it keeps other Darcy up, though.
Let's just say, suppose there was a way for you to exist after the world had been saved. What would you like to do?
I suppose I'd like to see the sun set with my own eyes. Even if I take off the blindfold, it's not the world I see. And I remember, I think, what it looks like. But I'd like to see it again. When you can't do something, it's often in the tiniest things that you miss the most. Even other Darcy can't see that. There's no sunrise or sunset in Kyla's house. Only the ever-present sky, a reflection of her own madness. Wasn't like that before, though.
You're saying the outside of her house looked different?
Well, the guild itself isn't her house. That whole pocket is her house. And it looked different before. Before Kyla. Just me, or are people staring at us?
He'll look around.
People are staring at Darcy. There is almost a bit of malice, a bit of unease, and a bit of distrust in their faces.
People don't necessarily like seeing other non-beast races.
If you say so. Well, and do you have any other questions for me?
Always, but I think we both deserve some tea.
You guys will enter the cafe, and they do have a seasonal beverage. It seems to be some sort of cider served in a giant acorn cup. It's garnished with a cinnamon stick and some sort of leaf. As you get closer, you notice that the leaf is actually a very thin cookie.
He'll point it out to her and say, "Don't these look nice?"
She just waves her hand in front of the blindfold.
Well, they at least smell nice, don't they?
They look great. I've never seen anything more beautiful.
He'll describe it. Looks to her.
She nods. She will take a sniff of the drink. It does smell good. And the barista will hand you one Quietus, and she'll look at Darcy. She appears to be a rabbit folk, and she just leans over to you, Quietus, and says,
I don't mean to be rude, but you're not supposed to have humans in the city limits anymore. You could get arrested or worse.
I just wanted to show my friend my hometown. Should be fine.
No, I saw someone execute a human not 2 fortnights ago. I don't know if you're on a date or what, but she's in real danger here. You didn't know?
No, I haven't been home in quite a while.
King Leonidas, he announced it 3 weeks ago. Humans and other elven folk or dwarves, if it's not a beast race, she's not allowed in the city. I didn't want to say anything, but I didn't think that you knew, or you wouldn't have risked her like this.
I did not, but we'll make our time short and leave soon.
See that you do. My neighbors have been reporting people like crazy. You need to... Yeah, you can take these to go. Just leave. Leave as soon as you can.
Alright, thank you for letting me know.
I'm sorry. It didn't used to be like this, but ever since, our little Plumefeather disappeared, things at the castle have seemed more and more extreme.
Wait, you said Arlo disappeared?
He hasn't been seen at the castle since I think they announced that his son had departed.
He'll have a very worried look on his face, but he'll say, "Thank you for telling me. Yeah, that is It is definitely odd. I'll be sure to be quick about it. We don't want to put you in any harm's way as well.
See that you do. Go on now.
And she'll shoo you out.
Okay. He'll get to Darcy and say, seems like rules have changed since last I've been in the city. It seems like humankind, or anyone looking not a beast-like, can have been disappearing, getting killed. I don't want to put you in harm's way.
Oh. Things are accelerating quicker than I thought then.
I know the king was tough on this kind of stuff. I didn't think he would outright banish people.
Do you want to try and find out more information?
If you don't mind, I know this is supposed to be our date.
I don't mind. Although I think I'll need a disguise. Picture me as a beast.
What image would you conjure of Darcy as a beast folk?
That's not a question I was expecting.
Welcome to D&D.
Like a crow, Aarakocra.
So as you kind of give her form and imagine her as, we'll say, an Aarakocra, you see that these sort of feathers bloom along her hair. Her features, although she is still blindfold, become like your mental image of her, and her hands become these wings.
How's that for a disguise?
He'll stammer a bit and then say, beautiful.
Well, I guess I should thank you. I don't know what I look like. That's why I can't disguise myself. But thank you for imagining a pleasing form for me.
No problem. I have so many questions, but let's see about. He'll just like stammer and sort of like walk towards like the palace.
She'll follow along. She seems to be following the sound of your footsteps. As you walk along, she's trailing a little bit behind you. Where do you go first to try and find information?
He'll head towards the Plumethorn household.
As you arrive, the place is overgrown. It looks like no one has really been here. The gates are closed and they seem to have plants growing on them. The actual tree itself doesn't seem to be trimmed or maintained and is growing through this. You're not sure if you can get the gates open at this point.
That's odd. Usually someone would take care of the abode. Did Mother skip town as well?
I don't know. This isn't in my vision.
Well, at least want to check Father's office, and he'll grab her, and he'll like princess carrier, but like fly her over the gate.
Oh! She has both wings around your neck.
I wasn't expecting this.
I figured since you can't see, I might as well help you in the flying department.
Well, this is exciting. Let's be told, usually my path is set, but we're going off vision. Hope disaster doesn't happen.
Hopefully not, but I believe we could handle anything that comes our way.
She doesn't say anything, but she seems strangely pleased. Like, her normal emotion seems to be subdued, but this, you actually see her crest pick up in excitement a little bit.
Macadelia's gonna be so mad at you.
I can take a scolding. I'm usually the well-behaved one. She'll go lenient on me.
Scolding? I think you're at least gonna take a beating.
nothing Arton couldn't handle. If he could handle it, I could.
I remember Arton. We were his trainers a little bit for a while. We needed access to your library. That was a long time ago, I think. Hard to tell how much time passes when you're only half.
That is true. I've heard something happened 30 years ago. Does that fall in line at all?
Oh. Well, Macadelia hasn't told you that?
Macadelia doesn't... I feel she doesn't feel the need to share the more pertinent details.
Roll a persuasion check.
If she hasn't told you, I shouldn't tell you. That is her story. But if you really want a reaction about it, ask her about her husband the next time you see her. Although, I'd wear armor when you did.
I'll definitely keep it in mind. Maybe someone else in the guild will be there with me when I do so they can help soften the blow.
I think you should get at least 3 people there. Well, actually, no. If you do ask her about it, the best thing for you to do would be to ask her while she's alone, and so are you.
Good to know. I'll keep it in mind.
But be warned, when you do, you can't take it back.
Is that information really so mind-boggling?
It'll set off a chain reaction that'll lead somewhere. But if I spoil the end, you won't walk the path.
Fair enough. It's always better to walk the journey.
As you guys arrive, you start to walk towards the courtyard, but you're immediately stopped by 2 guards. Halt! Who goes there?
Quietus Plumethorn. And guest.
Oh, Quietus. And you recognize this person as Rymdal. They are a gator, a weregator, and they're currently in their gator form, which is a bit unusual for them because they usually prefer the humanoid version of themselves. So to see them in this gator form is a little off-putting. And they say, Quietus, I'm so sorry, but I cannot allow you into the palace. King's orders.
Really now? Well, what's been going on?
Well, the king has tightened the restriction on humans and humanoid folk being allowed in our city. After the disappearance of Arlo and the rest of the Plumethorns, I don't know. It's almost as if he became more extreme without your father's influence. He's also put Prince Arten on a strict house arrest.
I assume no going in and out of there either.
Correct. And although I was all for your boyish antics between you and Arten, unfortunately I, out of principle, can't let you, because I think if any of the inner guards saw you, they'd harm you on sight. All of the old guard have been pushed to the outskirts, and according to rumors, they're set to retire many of us. Those who serve King Leonidas now are strange to us. They're not beast folk we recognize.
This is also odd. The king was tough before, but it seems like he's cracking down even more so.
It's strange times we live in, Quietus. These new beast folk that are around the king are... You know, I don't like to talk bad about folk, but they're darker, strange. It's almost as if the shadows have taken form.
He'll speak this telepathically to Notice, and say, does this sound any familiar to you?
I haven't heard of this sort of thing, but this place reeks of amethyst. Delicious.
That's so we probably shouldn't be here. I'm not a one-man army yet.
I definitely think you should bring this up to Macedonia. To take on a place such as this, the whole guild maybe need to mobilize. But know that I want to eat every single one of the emavirs in here. I'm practically salivating at the chance.
Well, you'll get your chance.
That better be a promise.
If he could mental nod, he would.
I have much power to gain from here.
He's saying the more you eat, the more powerful you become.
The more I eat, the more I belong here, giving me power.
Well, I'll be sure to be your anchor then.
Good.
And you feel Notice's cheek rub against yours, almost like a snake.
Brothers forever, in this life and the lives that follow.
And he'll look back towards Randall. Well, I wouldn't want to make things any more difficult for you all. Take care of yourself, and if anything happens, send a message to the Iron Ballista.
Will do, Master Quietus. I am not sure what your goal is outside of the palace, but get as strong as you can. We're going to need you, I think.
That's the plan. And hopefully, by the time I come back, I'll have everything I need to make this country go in a better place.
You'll see that Rhymedale will bow low to you. And this is unusual because a guard of his station would only need to afford you a nod based on yours. But he's offering you respect and reverence not due to your station.
He'll do a small bow in kind, acknowledging that he is doing something very special.
Now carry
And
on.
if my family ever does show up, let me know.
I will write a letter as soon as I can.
He'll nod and then pick up Darcy again to carry her away.
She'll squeak again, but she just seems used to it at this point.
Seems like things have taken a turn here.
It seems so. I didn't think things would escalate so quickly after I left.
This was always a interesting node in the timeline. It could always go a myriad of different ways. See it take this turn. Well, we'll see what Macedonia does.
Aside from that, there is one other place I did want to show you, although it might not be the best place, but it's a very special place to me.
Can't wait to hear it.
And he'll fly her to one of the higher trees in the city.
And as you get up there, what would she... Well, I guess here. Or what do you see?
You would see, at the top, a sea of green of, all the trees.
Showing her a view of the whole city.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So as you get up there, it gets quite quiet because these trees are so tall and have such wide plumage that... Or foliage, excuse me. They're not birds. Such wide foliage that most of the time the city is always bathed in this green shadow. But there's a certain break in the tree where you can get to this highest bough, and as you look down, the city is half obscured in this roiling green sea, so that the buildings themselves almost appear like ships, and the leaves themselves a vast ocean. And you can see that the wind blows and sways and takes waves across the horizon. And Darcy tilts her head and listens and says, "This place is quite soothing."
Yes, I always came up here when I was little to admire the trees, admire the sky, and just think.
I wish I could see it.
Well, hopefully one day you will.
If that day ever comes, it won't be me.
But what if it can be?
You can't. You have this impossible idea of what things might be or could be. But I have seen the nature of the timeline. I have seen what has come to pass 1,000 times over. The ideas of the future that you have just can't be reconciled with what is. If this were to ever go away, I wouldn't be me anymore. Because this is the very nature of why I am the way I am.
Well, I don't know everything that's gone into what has become you. But I like you, and I'd like for you to see everything that I see. So, no matter what the timeline says, I will make this a reality.
You see her smile, and it looks a little melancholy as she says,
At the very least, I will keep these words with me. For as long as I am me.
And he'll pull her in for like a hug.
She stiffens at first, but then you feel her relax against you.
You're warm.
So are you.
Go ahead and roll an insight check. Or Arcana, whatever you're better at. So as you are holding Darcy close, you feel this sort of magic from her. It is as if she herself has the feeling, not of a being. It's not that sort of completeness, the cycle, the stream of magic as goes through every living being. This seems to pool in her, as if the flow of magic is blocked, as if there's something intrinsically missing about how she sits in the sea of magic that surrounds everything. She feels incomplete.
There's a part of you missing, isn't there?
Oh my, aren't you the observant one?
You have to be when you're in the palace.
Yes. Sort of. And no. Piece of me is not missing. But her statement isn't entirely wrong.
Well, if there's anything I can do to help, just let me know.
Just keep walking the path. That's all I can ask of you. You need to do it. And there are lots of ways that you could save things. One of the keys is on your shoulder. And yet, could also be your doom.
You mean notice?
She doesn't say anything. But you hear Noda say,
I think she likes me.
I reply that I think she does as well.
Do you think I have a shot?
Well, considering I'm throwing my shot, no.
Look, we're brothers, right?
Yes, but what are you implying?
Well, I'm just saying there's another Darcy.
Yes, but this one's mine.
All right. I'm just saying. Yeah, there's another Darcy, so it's fine. You get this one, I'll take the other one. Although,
Oh,
truth be told, I think the other one's scarier.
Considering what she's done to Percy.
I think she's actually trying to kill him. I smelled the tea he was served.
I think he deserves it, though, as long as you don't do something as bad as he does.
I suppose so, but I think mainly his crime is just being a fop.
That's fair, he does put himself in a lot of interesting situations.
Darcy kind of shifts and says,
Well, are you ready to go back?
I am, but do you mind if we stay here a bit longer?
We can stay until the bell rings. And then if we don't move, you won't ever go back.
I'd like to ask what that meant, but I think it's probably better if I don't.
Walk the path, Quietus. You can't have all the answers.
You're right. I must experience things as they come.
Just remember, you can't save us all. To do so would doom everyone.
Can't stop me from trying, though.
Well, that was me trying to stop you from trying. You're not a
Well,
very good listener, are you?
I actually am, but I'm a very careful listener.
Well,
I choose what I want.
hopefully you choose wisely. We're depending on it.
Definitely.
and she leans back against you, and you two sit quietly for another half hour or so, and you hear the sound of a tolling bell.
I guess that's our cue to leave.
Time to go. We need to go back to the beginning.
And as you guys fly and land back towards the start, she says,
There's going to be something coming up.
and it's going to be pretty hard.
But I think you of all people will understand. When you are most lost and trying to figure things out, remember what we talked about.
I will. I'll do my best.
And she will nod. She steps out of your arms, and in doing so, sheds her form almost like she was throwing off a cloak as the feathers flutter off into the breeze and disappear into smoke. And the normal Darcy is standing before you with blindfold intact. She raises the tarot card and flips it, and you see the tower. And as you're glimpsing that picture, the card explodes outward and presents a portal.
Next time you see me, we'll be sad. Try not to cry too hard.
And she'll push you through the portal. And step in behind you and remove her blindfold.
Did you have fun?
I did. It was a great time, although we did have some complications, but I think it worked out.
You see Darcy kind of check herself for injury.
Well, at least nothing bad happened.
I like that you asked me on the date, but really wanted to date other Darcy.
I mean, you're the best avenue for it.
Well, where's my date? And you see Notice like slowly peek out from your crest feathers. Oh, absolutely not. And Notice will just creep slowly back into your crest feathers.
Aw. I'll pat him.
My shot was not as good as yours.
You live and learn.
Well, I have a new batch of coffee if you'd like it. And I think Kyla only dropped half of the peach doodles today, so there's cookies.
I'll take you up on that offer.
And she'll bring you to the cafe bar where she'll hand you coffee and sort of ask questions about what happened.
He'll answer all our questions and enjoy the refreshments.
So did she say anything weird?
I mean...
She is
She's
not
a-
a secret keeper. She will blab her whole mouth to everybody.
She does so with a bit of a cryptic flair.
I know,
But
it's
I mean-
so annoying.
I mean, but not anything out of the ordinary, I feel like.
One time, she left in her diary just a trace of her hand holding a middle finger to me. Like, cryptic is one way to put it. She's a brat.
I mean, she's really nice when you get to know her.
Another diary entry was just Macadelia's face on a giant butt. She is a rascal. I don't think she particularly cares for being the outside one.
I mean, we all have our preferences.
True. At least I can mostly be myself in here. She does have it rough.
Yeah, she told me a bit about her. Well, about all of your burdens that are now ours.
Hopefully not too much.
I think it was an adequate amount. Nothing too crazy.
Well, I guess, are there any questions I can answer about it? Because sometimes she's not very clear.
I tried to... I don't know if you'll answer this, but I did try to figure out what happened to make, I guess, what happened to make you all like this. It seems like it was linked to Ascension, but I really don't know what happened to you all.
What happened to us all is different than what happened to me and other me. There was a time where Kyla was taken. And I needed power in order to get her back. But I wasn't strong enough to hold that power. And another had to take my place. When I wasn't strong enough, I was granted a boon, but not the sanity to use it. When we finally retrieved Kyla, she wasn't much better. But she crafted us a safe haven where we could be ourselves, mostly. Kyla's still... well, she's better. At least in here. But when that happened, my power couldn't be supported in here. And so I became two. Two sides of a portal, as it were.
Apparently, one day you two are supposed to merge, if I'm correct.
Not quite. Close enough. Anyway, more coffee.
We'll drink some more.
Darcy will return to her stool and take up her book. And you see Kyla attempting to add way too much frosting to a set of cookies. She seems to be stacking it up, and it's almost as if she has an entire inch of frosting on this cookie before she adds another side to it to make a sandwich.
Quietus, you must try my newest invention!
And she will plop this frosting monstrosity in front of you.
I call it the Mega Frosting Buster!
I'll give it a try, but have you ever thought of baking the frosting into the cookie?
But if I do that, the frosting melts. I did that one time, and then I was banned from using the oven for like a whole week because the whole place filled with smoke, and you can't really air this place out.
Fair.
Machiavelli was not pleased that day, let me tell you. Whole place smelled like burnt creme brulee.
Well, you have to make mistakes in order to know what works.
That's what I keep saying, but then they keep saying, Kyla, you can't keep making the same mistake over and over or you're learning nothing. I mean, whatever that means.
But you are doing something different each time, though, right?
I mean, part of experimentation just means that, you have to try the same thing over and over just to make sure it wasn't a fluke, right? And then sometimes I forget that I did a thing before, so... I'll say it's a 50-50.
You should definitely try to mark down what you've done at the very least.
But I do so many things during the day.
Yes, but it's important to know what you've done already so you can try more new things.
Is it though? Because, every day is kind of similar to the last, so do I really need to vary up my routine? No, I can just skate through life. Easy peasy. Autopilot. That's where I like to live.
But spicing things up does make things better, doesn't it?
I mean, how much can I really spice up life around here? You guys are the most interesting part of my day.
That's fair. I can't argue with that.
Yeah, that's why I make you treats. That way you come over and you tell me your stories because they're way more interesting than my really boring life where I just wake up and make coffee and pastries and then I go to sleep.
If you could go outside, what would be the first thing you would do?
Well, I heard that there was this circus, and then I heard that there was also this dance, and I would want to go to the dance, and then I want to go see the sunset. I bet it's super pretty, but there are no sunsets here because, there just isn't. And then if you look at the sky, you kind of go a little crazy, and I think that might be my fault, but I don't really want to admit that, so don't tell anybody that. And then I would probably go to the beach, and I'd put my feet in the water, and that'd be really cool, but then I'd probably get nipped by a crayfish, and nobody really wants that, but it would be exciting to at least be bit by something. There aren't any bugs here.
Well, maybe one day you can.
I don't think I'm allowed to leave this place.
So I've been told, but I'd like for you all to have some reprieve at some point.
Yeah, but if we all left this place, we wouldn't be us anymore. Anyway, do you want to try this peach cordial?
Sure.
Here you go. Okay, bye. She hops off. You do see Machiavelli walking by. Quietus.
Hey, can we talk? Do you have time?
Oh. Don't usually ask to talk. By all means, shall we use my office?
Definitely.
She walks in and she's like, is this a door open or a door closed situation?
Door closed situation.
Oh. Should I be worried? And she'll quietly close the door with a click. And as it does, you realize how immense Macadelia's aura is. She is in full business mode, and she is a little bit foreboding, as she has this very rigid, soldier-like posture. She walks around to her desk and sits down, but that does not make her bearing any less regal, as she regards you with curiosity and a little caution.
I've been told this will be a heavy question. You don't need to answer it if you don't want to. But
You're scaring me a little bit, Quietus.
well, I've been warned, and I just want you to know it might be a heavier question.
Okay.
What happened to your husband?
You see the color drain out of Macadelia's face. And her eyebrows go from surprised to anger immediately. And she says, who have you been speaking to?
Wow. It's not a source I'm willing to reveal at this time.
Roll an insight check. You're not entirely sure what Macadelia is feeling at this point, but you know that that was a question. The air in the office has dropped 3 degrees. There is a chill between you and her. And she says, there are very few people that know about that. Very few people. If I were to wager a guess, I'd say you were speaking to Darcy. Why do you want to know?
Well, as I've been around here, I've been picking up things here and there. It seems some kind of event happened 30 years ago. I know Kyla's trapped here. I know Darcy is split in 2. And I know there's not something you've been fully telling us.
And what do you plan to do with this information, Quietus?
You see she stands up at this point, and her horn, this golden single horn, seems to catch the light and glitter with malice.
To better prepare, there are things that are worth fighting for. One of them I've been told is impossible. But if there's anything that can help me make that a possibility, I'm willing to risk it for it.
She stands up and she walks towards you slowly, and with each step you feel this indiscernible pressure of her aura. It is menacing. She puts one hand on your shoulder, and it feels like it's burning. She gets close to your face and she says, my husband, he died, and I suffered. And she shoves you out of her office. There is no other words as the doors slammed shut behind you.
He'll like sit down opposite of the door, and you'll hear him like sort of gasp for breaths a bit. He was not expecting that kind of pressure.
You see Kyla peeking out from the hall, and she says,
Are you still alive?
Physically, emotionally, I'm not sure.
I have some brandy.
No, I don't drink.
I have some candy.
That'll do.
exactly 5 gumdrops roll across the floor to you.
He'll press digitation each one and then pop it in his mouth and also share one to notice.
Each one is a different flavor, and none of them are candy flavored. You pick up a green one, which you're expecting to be some sort of mint, and it is straight up bacon. The second one that you pop in your mouth is a barbecue. And then the third one, you're not really able to discern exactly what the flavor should be, but it is something to what you think shoe polish might taste like. You hear Notice.
I think mine was grass.
These definitely weren't the flavors I was expecting.
You just see Kyla at the end of the hall with one thumb up.
Good?
What did you put in these?
I don't know.
Sometimes I just magic things and then they become other things and it's funny.
You should sell these.
Right? I said so, but Darcy had one and she said that if I ever served them to normal guests, that I would not be able to serve things anymore.
That's a shame.
I know, they're really delicious, and she eats one.
They are surprising. I'll give you that.
I think that one was spaghetti.
Yeah, he'll take himself off the floor and just end the day with tea.
Darcy comes by and just pats you on the back. And there's just this faintest glimmer where you hear her say, "She told you so."
I had to try.
And that's where we'll end your one-shot.
This has been Tales of the Iron Ballista. A big thanks to my cast who make these episodes possible. If you'd like to catch us live on Twitch, please join the Discord for the schedules. They vary from week to week because the players are scattered across the globe. Link is in the description. Please follow me on Twitch. That's twitch.tv/theamazingdina to get live alerts. And don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel to keep up to date with the posted episodes. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you again. Bye-bye!